I knew you were going to jump up there at some point, Roscoe. You little
So
sneak.
perfect.
I knew it was going to happen. We're going to get you to settle down there, unless you want to hold him.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Because I was going to say I can make him go to his bed. He's
No.
not even my dog. He's just here
I
right now.
know.
I'm just dog sitting, but he's adorable and I love him.
Do you have any spiritual practices right now?
Oh, interesting. Do I have any spiritual practice? I mean, I think I always have spiritual. Okay, hold on. I'll start with that question. Roscoe, go to your bed. Or go to the blanket anyway. Go to your bed. One or the other. Sit. Thank you. My name is Stephen Barnes, and I am 32 years old. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and I've been living in Chicago now a little over a year. I work at Loyola University Chicago in the undergraduate admission office, and specifically I'm part of the international recruitment team. So I'm part of the team that is going out and recruiting international students to join us at Loyola University Chicago, but my specific territory is Latin America, so I travel throughout Latin America. The short story is that I actively sought it out when I moved to Chicago, but I guess the longer story is that I grew up Catholic, and I grew up going, I went to 13 years of Catholic school and all of that, but thankfully I grew up in a family where, despite being practicing Catholic and going to church all the time, I was encouraged to question it. And in college, I ended up doing a minor in philosophy and religion, and during college spent a lot of time sort of exploring other religions and other faith traditions and trying to sample different types of spiritual communities and stuff like that. Fast forward, eventually I ended up after college back living in St. Louis, and I knew that I really wanted to find some kind of a spiritual home. And while in St. Louis, I knew you were going to join me at some point. While in St. Louis, I ended up finding, through happenstance, or as we might call it, synchronicity, because it absolutely was not an accident, I ended up finding a new thought community there. And this was at a time when I didn't have a clue what New Thought was. I didn't really know anything about this group. I just found it through a connection. And I ended up spending 3.5 years as a part of that community, and really enjoyed my time there. And then fast forward again, when I eventually moved to Chicago, I moved here knowing that I wanted to find a spiritual home, and so I literally just did some Google searching. To be honest with you, the thing that caught my attention immediately was the Sacred Circle program, and specifically the fact that they had an LGBT Sacred Circle. And as soon as I saw that, I knew it was going to be an open and affirming community, and that really made me happy. Do I have any spiritual practices? I mean, absolutely. Things like meditation and prayer. And actually something I've been exploring more specifically this year as a spiritual practice is silence. So not meditation explicitly, like sitting and quieting the mind and all of that, but more just like doing things in silence that I maybe wouldn't have done in silence before, even to the point of like, I wake up and I make breakfast every single day. I know a lot of people don't do that, but I actually wake up and make like a hearty breakfast every morning. And I normally will listen to a podcast while I'm cooking. And I still do that sometimes and I really enjoy it. But I've also been trying to do that in silence more and just like focus on and enjoy the experience of cooking and preparing a meal.
Is there anything you think someone would be surprised to know about you?
You asked that question to Derek, I think, in his video,
yeah,
or maybe in some of the others, and so I had a feeling it was coming. And when I watched it, I was like, well, crap, I don't know. I think for people in the Bodhi community that I have not yet gotten to really know very well, something that could surprise them would be the fact that that I have only lived in Chicago for a little over a year, and that right before this, I lived in Costa Rica for 2 years. So, everybody in foundations, in my foundations class knows that because my final project had to do with that. But there are plenty of people at Bodhi who I still have not gotten to know, who, by the way, I'm so excited to get to know you when the time comes. But yeah, so I lived in Costa Rica for 2 years. I was living in a town called Santa Ana, and I was working at an international high school down there as a university counselor, and it was an amazing experience for so many reasons. It was a challenging experience for so many other reasons, but I learned a ton about myself, I learned a ton about the world, part of a system of schools, of which I think we have now 16 or 17 around the world in different countries, called United World College. And the whole idea of the school, of the system, of the philosophy is to bring students from all different countries and all different backgrounds together into an educational community where they are literally forced to learn from each other and deal with the conflict of being from those different countries and all of that, in order to kind of work toward a more peaceful and sustainable future. So we had 175, I think, students representing 68 countries. So my kids were literally from all over the world, and that experience of getting to know them and work with them was phenomenal.